I ain't gonna front y'all. That Math Club Spider-Man opening, it's pretty aight. It's pretty catchy. I ain't gonna front. But it still ain't beating the 90s OG. Spoken from one OG to another, it ain't beating the 90s OG. That's all I'm gonna say. What's going on, people? What's really good? It's your boy Marv, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Folks, it is that time, folks. About a month ago, you saw me review Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the first couple of episodes. And Marvel wasted no time speeding through this season. We have already finished season 1. It's only been like a couple of weeks since I did that video. And right before February ended, they already finished season 1. So, right thing to do here at Nerds in the Hood is review it. And that is what we do best. That is what I do best, is review shows. So, I just wanted to talk about this. This was a very interesting show. I'm not going to recap everything, but I do want to talk about a few things that I saw. For starters, I was more intrigued by the timeline elements and the fact that it was more like an extended version of the show What If than anything else that we've seen before. You know, like what I'm realizing now is, like, now that the show What If came out, when you involve the watcher into these shows at some point where they just show him looking at the character that he's looking at in whatever universe he's looking at, it really feels like this could be a What If episode or a What If movie. Shoot, it could just be anything revolving around the series What If. And I'm all for that, especially if it's on Disney Plus. I'm not going to pay movie theater prices for that. So, but the reason I say that is because this is a story about what if the Civil War happened between Captain America and Iron Man, and Captain America's team still pretty much took the L, but Spider-Man had nothing to do with it. Spider-Man never met Tony Stark. Spider-Man doesn't even have his friend Ned Leeds. He doesn't even have an MJ, really. I thought it'd be this Paula chick, but I don't know. It still could be, but he doesn't really have those people that you saw in the Tom Holland Spider-Man. This is a whole different person, whole different voice, everything, right? This is a Spider-Man that met Norman Osborn instead. This is a Spider-Man that was told, with great power comes great respect, and you got to make them earn it. You gotta go out there and show them that your hands is working. This is a Spider-Man that was taught those things from Norman Osborn, as opposed to with great power comes great responsibility, like the Tobys were taught and all that. This is a Spider-Man who tried to go for an upside down kiss that Tobey Maguire did with Kirsten Dunst, and instead only to get snuffed because he wasn't going for the kiss. He was just trying to surprise his friend Nico. And this is also a Nico that has the power of the Nico from the Runaways, but she's not a part of the Runaways, which is also pretty cool. So you throw in a lot of these elements from different Marvel universes and just kind of pack it into this show. And that is why I'm all for it. I was like, yo, I was not expecting to see Nico from the Runaways. Like, I heard her name and I was like, this sounds like Shorty from the Runaways. And then when you see her, like, bring her mom up as a spirit, you don't get to see her moms, but you get to, like, see her doing a spell. That was pretty fire to me. To know that she had powers, but she didn't want to tell Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. I would love to see in the next season them explore that more, and Peter finds out and she helps Peter rather than holds it in as a secret. I would love to see that. But this is that type of universe where we get a Doctor Strange who actually was not voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch, just in case any of you were wondering. He was instead voiced by somebody else. But this is a world where Doctor Strange and Peter become friends, but in a different light than what happened in the events of Infinity War and Endgame. So a lot of these things are taking shape in a different world. And that's why I said it makes it feel like a long What If episode. Even the way Venom came through in this universe is different from what we saw in the MCU. And that's okay. Sometimes you're cool. I'm cool with that. All I need is the watcher to show up in any Marvel cartoon to just say, this could possibly be an MCU cartoon. I need him to pull up to Hitmonkey's universe and just watch Hitmonkey be Hitmonkey, just so I can have just an inkling of hope. An inkling of hope that Hitmonkey might pull up in the MCU one day. I know that is a tough ask, but just hear me out. Hitmonkey is on Hulu. Hulu is a Disney-owned product. MCU is a Disney-owned product. It can always happen. Never say never. In the immortal words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. Just saying. Just saying. With that being said, there is one situation that I wanted to bring up, and that is about my man Lonnie Lincoln. First off, this is a very black Spider-Man show compared to, we've seen numerous other Spider-Man shows, definitely seen him. We even seen Miles Morales take the big screen. So that was at the time by default the blackest Spider-Man we gonna get. But this was a black Spider-Man in the sense of like, he wasn't black, but a lot of the people around him was definitely people of color, and that was fire. The Osborn family, Lonnie Lincoln and his family, Paula, you know what I'm saying? Like, even the people on his team, we had somebody from Wakanda in there. Like, it was a lot of people of color holding it down in New York City with Spider-Man. Like, I was all for that. All for that. But in this show, it was like, I just gotta say, my man Lonnie Lincoln, yes, you held it down, you did what you had to do, but it was kind of a lot of just like choices that I felt like, I think on the low, I think, yes, he felt like he was backed into a corner. He was very scared. He didn't want nothing to happen to his brother, so he sacrificed himself for his brother on some Hunger Games stuff. He volunteered his tribute. But I think at a certain point, I don't think anything could have happened. Because when you watch now, and I know based on circumstances and events that followed, when you watch the show later, by the end of the season, you realize that the boss man of the 110th Street gang was a coward. And the minute he saw that Scorpion had too much power, he just bounced. He got in a car and left his whole crew there, which also means that at some point, Lonnie could have just got in a car and left his crew there. He didn't have to stay. He could have stayed at home and became the good scholar he was. He could have left his brother there. But when you think about it, his brother probably would have got packed up. But at the same time, I'm just saying that to say, when you really stop and think about it, yeah, your man's like just bounced. So it was like, yo, he could have bounced too. But Lonnie always made it seem like he didn't have enough going for him. And it was like, you have this wonderful football talent that you have. You have the skill to play football, which not a lot of people do. And it wasn't like he was poor. He just lived in Harlem. Yes, I get it. Harlem is hood. Harlem is tough. And in other words of a legend, my man Eddie Murphy, I'm a black man, and I don't even try to be in Harlem like that. I get it. You know what I'm saying? I went to high school in Harlem 4 years. That was rough. So I get it. But my man lives in a brownstone. That ain't cheap. His family was doing okay at best. Like, come on now. It's one thing if he was living in the projects and every day in the projects was rough and he had to walk past like drug dealers and gangs and all types of stuff like that. I could understand. I could be like, yeah, he going through it rough. I get why he pissed off. But that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. My man was going to a brownstone. The cops was usually around the neighborhood, so it wasn't a lot of crazy violence or activities. He was okay. His brother was just caught up in the wrong kind of vibe. He could have just told once his family realized his brother was wilding, he could have just like pulled up with a squad of people and just been like, yo, y'all gonna leave my brothers alone. Like, come on now. Or he honestly could have just waited till his brother came home one day and been like, yo, mom's been looking for you. You know what I'm saying? Just come. You know, like there's plenty of opportunities where he didn't have to go and join that gang. And nobody can sit here and tell me in the comments like, oh, if that was you, you'd stay in that gang. No, I wouldn't. Because most gangs, you got to get jumped in. Most gangs, you don't know where the hideout's at automatically. I never knew where Bloods and Crips just be hanging out in New York. I never knew where any gang really hides out in New York. So he just kind of waltzed in there kind of random. Yes, he did deserve the stink attitude from the gang. Like, yo, whose mans is this? What's going on? Like, he deserved all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at it like, come on, fam. But it was a weird redemption story because he went from being a star football player with really good grades, who was very smart, to just like, oh, yeah, now I'm like the toughest dude in the hood because I got powers. He got powers, y'all. He was called Tombstone, and coincidentally, he has these powers that make him like pretty indestructible. He almost got bodied by Scorpion, and because of his powers at the right moment, it like literally pierced like the Scorpion's tail instead of piercing his chest. So, and then you see his body start to like deform and like change in a sense in terms of his like skin color. So he ain't gonna be a black person anymore. Just saying that. But I was just saying that to say like there was a lot of choices he could have made to avoid a lot of this, especially given at what happened by the season finale. He didn't really have to join that crew. He did not. He did not. He could have waited, told his brother, don't go back there. You're wilding. These dudes are corny. And he could have kept it moving. Also, shout out to WWE superstar Big E, who voiced one of the gangsters. I forgot which person he voiced, but he definitely voiced one of the gangsters. And I was like, oh, snap. Because he like posted it all over his like streaming services and stuff like that. He posted, all over his social media. I said streaming services. He posted it all over his social media that he was going to be in the show. He was Bulldozer, who was like the right-hand man. You've seen him in like the orange puffy coat, jumping around, doing mad different stuff. But by the end, your man Lonnie Lincoln pretty much went from like ashy to classy when you really look at it. Like he could have been a star football player. He could have got his team a high school championship. I mean, when you watch his skills, he was almost like Lamar Jackson out there. But instead, he chose that boss's life, baby. He paid the cost to be the boss. You know what I'm saying? He fought Scorpion and won. You know what I mean? He fought Scorpion and won and didn't leave his team lying down. Like, once they saw that, they was like, that's the guy right there. He got powers. Ain't nobody gonna stop that. He got powers. So, should I be mad at Lonnie Lincoln? Nah, not really. But do I feel that he fell into the trap and made it out? Yeah. He fell into the trap. Most people don't make it out the trap like that. But he found a way into the trap and he made it work. So shout out to him. Walk in your trap, take over your trap. That's literally what he did. He now owns the turf that Scorpion's gang once owned, and he now owns the 110th Street Club. He walked in the trap and he took over the trap. So anybody who's out here probably against Lonnie Lincoln, you're bugging, fam. Tombstone all day. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Had to say that. But yes, again, like I said, this show takes place during the events of the Civil War. They still address that everything that happened before Civil War happened, but this is where the incursion kind of just splits into the universes. You know what I'm saying? So you even see, to prove it to them, there is a sign there. I forgot the name of it, but it definitely showed that there was a fake. First off, there was a bus ad that showed, you'll see it on the screen. It showed what I'm pretty sure was a fake version of Red Dead Redemption 2. You can just see it. They even used the color blue instead of red, and it showed that they was on a pirate ship instead of cowboys. So it was a fake version of Red Dead Redemption 2, which was fire. If you peep that Easter egg, you know the vibes. But it says spring 2016, which I believe Red Dead Redemption 2 either came out around that time or after that time. But either way, it shows that this universe is almost 10 years behind where even the MCU is currently at in Universe 616. So that further adds to the element of like, if this universe ever found its way into the MCU's universe, they would be moved forward into the future, which is pretty cool. It's like, this is the type of sci-fi I really want, you know what I'm saying? But I'm loving this element of like, these people in different universes, but their universes are also not the same time as the 616. So, because if we're getting Fantastic Four in the future, that's going to be the 60s. And then this universe is the 2010s of Spider-Man. So they're all going to be coming to the future and trying to help save whatever worlds they can save, assuming that Spider-Man finds his way there. And also X-Men 97, is also in the year 1997. So you got 3 different decades that they're working with in 3 different universes of cartoons. And they might find, 2 different universes of cartoons in one movie. And they might find their way to Earth 616. Now I'm getting hyped. Now I'm freaking out. I am like, oh, snap, son. So that is like, this is where the MCU fan that you have to be is where you get really, really hyped because you know what's coming. The last episode, though. The action, first off, the action was really good. The way they was moving, the animation was very stylish. Can't front, as a person who played all 3 Spider-Man games on the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, if you count the first Spider-Man. As a person who played all 3 of these games, I saw every bit of the Spider-Man video game in this show. There was time, and I know that's just Spider-Man being Spider-Man, but I mean it like there was times where he used his web to grab the sewer drain, the manhole cover, and he was throwing it at Scorpion, and I said, yo, that's crazy, because that's what I would have did in the game. He threw a trash can at Scorpion, and I once again said, yo, that's crazy, that's what I would have did in the game. He was zipping webs at enemies and making them lock into the cars and the other items around him, the objects around him, and you guessed it, I said, that's what I would have did in the game. So I don't know if they were doing it as an Easter egg or just because it is Spider-Man. But again, I fanboyed out at that moment because I was like, yo, I felt like I wanted to pick up my controller and just go like, just shoot out the webs at the enemies. But I thought that was dope. The animation is very reminiscent of like, it's a fuse of cell shading, but also incorporates the comic book style art that it once was when Spider-Man first came out. And it really looked very well. 2025, 2024, you can get away with this type stuff. So it really looked well. I really like that animation. I can't wait till they do season 2 and that animation pops up again because it really, really worked. But again, the action is really what kept me watching this show. Like the storyline was cool, but the fights that he had with Scorpion, especially the little montage especially the montage where Spider-Man is like in a coma, and while he's like in the coma, he's like having a nightmare of Scorpion packing him up the first time. And it reminded me of that Batman meme after Robert Pattinson's Batman movie came out, and then he's like jumping and punching and throwing punches. It was kind of similar to that, and I thought that was hilarious. But the real question now is, if you already seen it, the whole season, which I forgot to say spoilers, but the real question is like, what are you most excited for? Because they threw so many just surprises and plot twists and so much at the end that it was insane. With like Aunt May, which we also got a young Aunt May, just like Marissa Tomei's character in the movies. But Aunt May, knowing that Peter Parker's father is alive, chilling with Peter Parker's father while he's in prison. We don't know what type of role that's going to play for the next season. Nico having powers, like I said earlier. Harry Osborn creating his own company with the Web Engineers, Worldwide Engineer joint. We don't know what's going to happen with that because he did hit up Ned Leeds. That was one of the names that he was trying to hit up. Lonnie Lincoln turned him down so he can go run a crew. Mr. Cho, he went and stayed with Osborn, so that might lead to some stuff. He might turn up because he felt like he's that dude and he might make stuff, or he might become Venom. Who knows? There's also that. If you remember, the big bad final battle was Spider-Man and Doctor Strange versus a big symbiote, which was basically an eviler Venom, and one of Venom's like just basically his skin in a sense just flew out of the portal right when Spider-Man closed it, and Norman Osborn caught wind of that. He saw that and was like, oh, word? So we don't know what that's going to lead to. So they literally at the last 5 minutes of the episode was like, yo, hit him with it. And just bang, 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 bang. And just hit you with mad surprises at the end. Had you sitting there like, all right, you're going to see me again next season. You're going to see me again. So I really enjoyed the show. Let's bring up the review board, please. And with that being said, season 1 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man gets a nice score of a friendly, valid. It was a valid show. I'm here for it. Again, the reason I'm not going to talk about it as much as the comic book people is because I don't know everything about Spider-Man in terms of the comics. I do remember the TV show. I do remember the movies. Yes, and that's where I draw my love of it from. That's where I draw that from, especially the video games. You know what I'm saying? The last few video games, not the ones from back in the day. We talking about Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, the PlayStation exclusives that ended up getting ported to PC. So we're talking about those. Those are where I love Spider-Man at. I didn't read the comics growing up. I was aware of them, but I didn't read them. So for the people that have read those comics, shout out to you. Because when you watch this show, you're probably seeing all of this come to life and being like, yo, this is fire. I'm feeling it. I'm going to keep watching it. But with that being said, yeah, this is a valid show. Shout out to the Math Club. They've been just rocking the house on the MCU because they have the official theme songs to the Spider-Man show, and they also had a song on Captain America Brave New World. But not trying to throw shade to the Math Club, but you had big shoes to fill because of the original Spider-Man song, and you remixed it, and that was cool. But the best remix we all know is that 90s Fox Kids classic, Spider Powers, radioactive Spider Power. Like, we know that's the one. That's the one. You just know. Every time, for those old heads that's watching this, or the ones that saw the show, you remember, especially if you was an old head, you remember coming home from school or waking up on Saturday morning, getting your cereal ready, getting your breakfast ready, and you heard that song. You knew it was about to go down. You knew the next 30 minutes, with commercials included, you knew you was about to get that heat. Come on now. Anytime you watch Fox Kids, and you was a superhero fan, you knew there was 3 shows where you knew it was going down. Technically 4. 3 cartoons and 1 live action. You knew when that Spider-Man song came on. You knew when you saw the giant X and Storm was flying over the X and the ship was flying over the X. You knew when you saw the WB get dark and then you heard and you knew when the Power Rangers theme song came on. You knew. And there's stuff for WB, but we talking about Spider-Man and Fox right now. So for me to see this cartoon show, Spider-Man's had a lot of different cartoon shows since then, and they all were pretty cool. But this one is right up there. I got to see what season 2 is going to do. Because right now, I know there's Spider-Man Ultimate, there was Spider-Man 2099, there was like a lot of different ones, and Spider-Man Ultimate is still like a very low-key, slept-on one. But hey, this one has a chance to be up there, right under Spider-Man. I guess we call it 94 now, right under it. But yeah, write in the comments. Tell me what was the biggest surprise that you was hype about when you saw this show. Was it the reveal that Spider-Man's pops was in prison, incarcerated? Was it Lonnie Lincoln getting his powers and becoming fully embracing the Tombstone world? Was it Harry Osborn starting his own group? Was it Nico from the Runaways, who, even though she's not a runaway in this show, was it her getting those powers? Was it Norman finding the Venom? Was it the fact that you got to see a show where, you didn't see a lot of the Avengers, but you got a brief appearance from Doctor Strange, and you got a briefer appearance from Iron Man, and you got a picture of Captain America. But everybody else is mentioned. Thor is mentioned at one point. Different people are mentioned. So what was the bigger surprise? Or, of course, Daredevil packing Spider-Man up and then just moving on with his life. But he was the turning point to be like, 1, I'm gonna pack you up, and 2, I'm on your side. And the fact that you find out he had a friend in a woman named, first off, her name is Finesse. That is a fire superhero name. Imagine getting beat up and then she just says, yeah, you got finessed. That would be crazy. I would have been like, you know what? You're right. She finessed me. I got to eat that. I got to eat that L. She finessed you. Like, she ain't pack you up. She ain't body you. She finessed you. Like, that is crazy. You can't get Daredeviled. You can't get Wolverined, but you could get finesse. I don't care if you call that corny. I rocks with it. So all of those things are going to lead up to a very good season 2. And in this realm where comic book cartoons are starting to just make this fire revolution, we got to keep riding that wave. Unfortunately for Marvel, we're not going to see another Marvel cartoon from what I know until the Marvel Zombies, I believe, hits next, unless X-Men 97 decides to pull up with another season, or Hitmonkey, even though it's not anything to do with the MCU, pulls up for another season. We have yet to see what's going to happen next for Marvel. But we know What If was pretty cool. We know Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was pretty cool. X-Men 97 is cool. I do want to see what Zombies is going to do. But right now, it's a tough road. It's a tough battle because those cartoons are hitting. But James Gunn said all I needed was this Creature Commandos, baby. And Creature Commandos to me is better than Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't think it's better than X-Men 97. That's just my personal opinion. It is better than your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is dope, but Creature Commandos is really, really good. Is it better than X-Men 97? I can't call that. I think X-Men 97 still got that nod. But we'll see. We'll see down the line when they get their season 2s. We'll see what's going on with that. Yeah, we'll check all of those things out. But again, this is definitely a really great show, and I want to see if this gets included into the MCU. If it stays its own thing, I'm okay with that too. Again, as always, you could follow your boy Marv Lat and the Nerds in the Hood on social media using the link tree in the description below. Check out what I'm doing. Check out what I'm brewing with the content. Just check it out. Appreciate it. Like it. Share. Subscribe. Let's talk about it. I write back, people. At least for right now. So I'm going to catch y'all next time. It's your friendly neighborhood nerds in the hood. And I'm off this, people. Peace.